Hi, this is Mucker671 doing another video. This time it's a chalk stream on the south coast, the River Itchen. It's a lovely stretch of water, quite busy as it's a free stretch. It's got great access for parking and fishing straight from your car. Not the whole stretch, just the top sort of quarter to a third, I suppose, at the most. But very, 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 very nice chalk stream. I'm filming. It's February the 25th, so it's winter really, so there's a little bit of extra water in, which is a bit of a shame. I really wanted to show you the sort of how nice and clear it is. I'm following the line of the river now. It's on the right hand side. I'll give you directions, maps, information on the pub, absolutely everything I can think of for you at the end of the video. Now this is a bit tricky. This entrance here on the right, this is actually the exit. Now if you come along here and there's a sign on the right just now, that's where you pull in. If you go to the sign you'll see in just a second here for the White Swan pub, you would have gone too far, you'd have missed the entrance. There's a short stretch of free fishing just upstream of the pub to the right, and there's a much longer stretch it goes right down to where the River Itchen comes out to the sea. I didn't notice until I got home, started editing the video, that I had a sunspot on the sign for the charges, but it's £15 for 24 hours, £3.50 for 2 hours, £1.50 for 1 hour, and free if you use the pub. Now this is the beer garden. It's quite a nice garden. In the summer it's absolutely gorgeous. All the trees are full and, you know, fully leaved. It's not as sparse as it looks at the moment, but it's a lovely beer garden, lovely pub. Huge car park. Like I said, there's parking to the right as you face the front door of the pub, up the river a little bit there, just in view, just to the right hand side. It's probably, well, I wouldn't like to guess, it's no, I wouldn't like to guess, to be honest with you, how far it's. You can get probably 20 cars up there, 15 cars, so there's definitely enough space. Also you have fishing to the left of the pub, which is just downstream of the beer garden here. None of the beer garden section is obviously fishable. It's I think it's actually stocked above the free stretch of the Itchen itself. So I mean, it can be like an aquarium, this place, in the summer at the back of this pub. When you've got clear water, it literally is like an aquarium there. You see the Chub and the Barbel here, they all gather up. Sometimes I wonder if there's any at the lower stretch, whether I think they're quite smart, so they like to sort of stay where it's safe, I think, and secure. So the first section of the river I'm going to show you is free, as I said before. Free parking up here as well, separate to the actual front car park that sort of on the front of the pub there. I'll just take you on a journey upriver. There's really, my favourite sort of swims are right at the top of this section here. It's only a few minutes away, but yeah, short walks, not very far at all, but I'll show you the rest of the river on the way up to the sort of pool area there. There's a nice little deep run that I like to fish as well. Got some tips and tricks for that to show you in a bit. Most species are present here. You've got your Barbel, Pike, Roach, Carp, Chub, sea trout, that type of thing as well, obviously being the River Itchen. There's night fishing, but I would suggest be very careful if you night fish. You can get some really dodgy characters around here at night, so especially in the summer, so just be aware of that. I think the best advice I can give for people here for the first time, especially in these conditions, it's quite hard work to be able to see the bottom and be able to fish it effectively. So I'd suggest no sort of bait thrown in or anything like that. Don't do any feed. Just walk around with a stick float and a nice chunk of fluffy white bread on it, and just walk up and down trotting in just spots all over the place really. That's probably your best bet. This area here, it can be renowned for roach on the certain days. Certain times of the year they shoal up around this area here, but they're very, very, very timid, quite hard to catch as a regular thing, so like I say, it's more about opportunist fishing really. I think that's probably how I'd explain this sort of fishing here really. As you can see, you can't really ask for more when it comes to the parking and fishing situation here on this top little stretch. It goes on past the parking. I'll show you all that in a bit. But it's the same downstream of the pub as well. Looks like this. It's a lot more tree line. There's a lot. Oh wow, yeah. There's a lot more swims to choose from really. There's actually an opportunity to launch a small dinghy, fiberglass or inflatable, at Riverside Park car park at the end of this video. It's where the River Itchen meets the sort of saltwater estuary. This little tributary in front of you here that you can see, I've had some nice little just bags of smaller roach casting fairly tight to the floating, I don't actually know what they call that weed there, but just there on the opposite bank. It's it's hard again. It's not the sort of place you can go and catch lots and lots of larch and put lots of feed in and that type of thing. It's still a chalk stream at the end of the day. Like I say, it's out of character at the moment. Normally you can see just about everything, but worth a go there as well. Oh, and the other thing I must warn it is I've obviously turned the sound down on the volume, the background, quite a bit. In fact, in some places I've had to drop it down to about 25% volume, obviously because of the cars. You get cars and lorries and that, so you do have to be a bit brave as you get sort of further upstream here. You can see why it's good for trotting here, with the steady flow here. There's good depth as well, but really, you can feed a fish. These conditions are quite good if you're going to do it, I suppose. A little bit of colour in the water, but if you're going to do it, I'd put a 4-foot hook length on, 4 to 5 foot, really, something like that. Quite a long hook length. That's how I've found effective here anyway. But we're coming up to my favourite swim of all in a second. You can see where the water's there is a bit disrupted. Well, that's this big tree in the water here. It looks very inviting. It's the first proper sort of overhang or anything good to really look at on the upper section here. So this is looking back downstream towards the pub from where we came from. Pan around slowly now. There's the tree just downstream of us there on the left, but there's also an overhanging tree in front of us here. Now that's when it's fully sort of, got all the leaves and everything's fully thickened up. There's a lot of cover underneath there, and what I actually do is stand in the water down here. There's a little swim on the right, so you can fish from there as well. But you can see on a clear day, you can see all the fish here, the roach and the chub. There's very little weed to speak of in this little pool area here, but just downstream where that sort of tree is in the water, and when it's overhanging sort of trees in the summer, there is actually a fishable sort of swim that I said about earlier. But what I like to do is stand in the water and just have a single split shot and a sort of a 4 to 5 foot trace between the split shot and the hook, and have like a nice lobworm on there, that sort of thing. Just flick a few in occasionally, a few bits of lobworm in, a couple of maggots here and there, and just let it drift down slowly underneath the trees. Also, I've had some nice perch from here actually trotting. You'll see when you're in the water where to put your float. You can't really miss it. You get big chub in front of you there, which is always a sort of up that sort of area, that little tributary bit there. Not really a tributary, but yeah. So what we're going to do is move on now to the left hand side of the pub as you look at it from the front, so downstream of the pub. We're going to go down here. It's quite a long walk, so it's quite a long video, to be honest with you. It's 30 minutes and over, so yeah, it's very unusual for me to do one that long, to be honest with you. But so I'll show you the parking again, all the swims. It's a lot more interesting to look at this section, a lot more going on. That's the other thing, it's very, very busy here. In the summer it can be, dog walker after dog walker, which is fine. I don't mind that at all. But yeah, so I'll take you on a journey down here, and I'll fill you in on some details as we go. This section here, it tends to be a little bit shallower, or quite a bit shallower in places. It's more your typical sort of chalk stream look, you know, but it's tricky, as I say before. There are spots you can catch, you've got to find them. It's best to try and get down here on a day when the water's a bit clear. I know that's against the fishing, but if you don't know the place, then you know you need to have your bait in the right spot first, you know. So just a little bit of footwork, groundwork first, and we'll go a long way here. There's still fairly decent depth in front of you here. It sort of goes up and down a bit, so you need to pick your spot carefully. It's quite shallow right in front of me, just as I said that, but yeah, literally it sort of goes up and down all the way along here, really. You can imagine in the summer, all these trees that are overhanging, fully leafed up as such. It's just a different, looks completely different. There's deep sort of gullies that you can cast into between the trees, that type of thing. You know, it's much more sort of inviting, really. It looks like hard work here, but it really should be fishing quite well, I should imagine, with this slight tinge of colour, you know. Now, I'd imagine this really is my second favourite spot on this part. Joint second, I would say, coming up under the bridge here. Excuse me, it's actually just before the bridge, just upstream of the bridge here on the opposite bank. I said earlier about not feeding, but if you're really patient and you do it really carefully, sort of 3-4 maggots at a time every sort of 30-45 seconds, maybe a minute, something like that, depending on the day. Just keep flicking in, and if you can sit there for a couple of hours, hour and a half, 2 hours or so, well, you can't really put a time limit on it, but the longer you wait, the better. And you can actually put a nice waggler across there. It's another way of getting bites, but you have to be prepared to sit and wait, cross your hands. Well, don't cross them because you won't be able to flip maggots out, but and cast or that type of thing. But that can be worth a go. And that's just up here. There's a tree there on the right hand side that's sort of going into the water there. It's just along this sort of bank here. You can also fish the opposite bank as well, up to a point. It sort of bears away. I think below the bridge it's about as far as you can go. I might be completely wrong. You might be able to cross the bridge and walk along this opposite bank here in front of us. I don't actually know about that spot, but I know that you can fish on the opposite bank just below, which I'll show you in a minute. If anyone would like to leave a comment below explaining the situation on fishing on the opposite bank, that would be great, and I'll pin it to the top so everybody gets to see it. Any corrections as well, that type of thing, I'll always pin them to the top, just to sort of help everybody out. Don't want any disinformation as such. I turn the volume up here just for a second because I hear this really weird noise. We're starting to get away now from Mansbridge Road, the A27, that busy bridge that you could see when we were actually stood on Mansbridge Bridge, funny enough. Yeah, so it does start to get a bit quieter and a bit nicer down this end. Nice lawned areas on the left. You know, if you've got a dog, I mean, you could spend all day fishing here, couldn't you, with your dog? It would be as happy as Larry. You know, be heaven for it, I should imagine. As you can see, it's slightly faster paced on this section here, just this little area. It goes downstream a little bit like that, and then it deepens off again. There's a large bend around the corner with a big massive tree in it, which is, excuse me, which is a peachy swim, very good swim. But you know, they're all hard. I can't emphasize enough, you know. You can't just come down here and expect to catch just like that. It's a shame, but you know, you've got to at least try and be a bit delicate if you can. I'd have really liked to have come down here in the summer months, you know, to show it off at its best. You can imagine the sort of gullies and things in between the trees I was talking about earlier, and also you can see there's a bit more reed grass sort of flowing there. You know, it's all looks very nice, a bit more chalk streamy. I don't know if that's a word or not, but yeah. So really, this goes out to the sea as well. This stretch here, I don't know if I remember saying at the beginning, it's basically the last stretch before it hits the sea. I'll show you the mill at the end and everything. There's a car park at the end, so you can actually access this whole area. This up to, well, you can walk the whole stretch, and yeah, and it's free parking again. There's a little bit of fishing just, so you park up, cross the road, and there's a bit of fishing on a nice sort of bend, small bend, but it's very noisy again. So I don't know, you might want to take some music with you or something, you know, and just headphones or something, noise cancelling preferably, I should imagine.
There,
Okay, we're going to be coming up to a swim that is actually fishable. Yeah, it's the last one on the stretch before it sort of meets the estuary, the Itchen estuary. It dumps into the sea basically. Yeah, there's a platform there you can see. You'll need your, like I said earlier, you need some earplugs or some type of music, some buds of some type, because it will drive you mad otherwise. There's even a pedestrian crossing behind, but I've never fished it. I've seen people fishing it there before. I've seen a couple of people using a pole, more of a whip really I suppose, but it was being used as a pole. Had a few sort of roach and bits and pieces, but I'm not too sure. But you know, it's good access. Literally, there's a pelican crossing behind my back, and also a car park. So, and it's free. So you could pop across here, have 4 or 5 hours in the evening, and you know, maybe winkle something out. Right, just had a thought. I'm going to put the volume up now very quickly just to show you exactly what it's like. This will just be at 100% as I normally do all my videos. So this is a standard volume. Okay, back to a lower volume again after that. That's the pelican crossing. That's also on your back, don't forget, when you're fishing that little spot just across the other side of the road there. I hope you enjoyed this video, hope you found it informative. Don't forget to hit the like button, subscribe, notifications if you want to see more videos like this on my channel. Google me, Mucker671. Plenty more free fishing, free parking with good access videos on my playlist on my channel, on my YouTube channel. Also I'm slowly sort of building up a big library, hopefully over the next year or so, all my sort of free spots that I've been visiting over my lifetime. So I hope you enjoyed it, hope you found it informative again, and catch you in the next one, which should be, in theory, either Runnymede or Chertsey on the River Thames. I have quite a few River Thames videos, by the way. Thanks for watching.